Welcome to the KBB Review podcast. My name is Matt Baker, and this is the second of our special episodes around the KBB Review Retail and Design Awards 2025. It's a special episode today as we're finding out about the 2025 awards podcast partner, Sonas Bathrooms. They are supporting the show once again, and between now and the event on Thursday, April the 24th, we'll be bringing you special bonus episodes where we'll meet previous winners as well as 2025 judges and finalists. I must tell you though that we will also be revealing the shortlist itself in a special bonus episode of this podcast just before Christmas, and we may even bring you a flavour of the event on the night with a special recording from our iconic venue, the Blackpool Tower Ballroom. Yes, that one from your telly box. For more information on the awards, you can go to kbbreview.com/awards. Entries are open till November the 14th and it's completely free. Now, the KBB Review Retail and Design Awards are all about celebrating the very best of independent retail. And of course, a massive part of that success is all about the relationship with the supplier and the retailer. Now, we're going to delve into that today with Sonas Bathrooms and a couple of special retail guests. Please welcome Richard Sloan, CEO of Sonas Bathrooms, Becky Price, Park Street Interiors in Camberley, and Dan Tuff from Glenfield Bathrooms in Leicester. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we get into the episode, let's run around the room and hear who you all are and a quick elevator pitch about what you do. Richard, let's start with you.
So I'm Richard Sloan, CEO of Sonas Bathrooms. So I lead the business across the UK and Ireland with the support of my management team and the rest of my colleagues. In particular for the UK, I work very closely with the field sales team who are in market and who the guys, customers will be very close to in market. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. And Becky, over to you.
Hiya, I'm Becky from Park Street Bathrooms in Camberley. I've been working there for 24 years now, so got many years of experience and now a manager for the showroom.
Excellent. And Dan, over to you.
Hi, I'm Dan from Glenfield Bathrooms in Leicester. We're an installation company primarily. We've had a showroom since 2011 and we're bang opposite B&Q, which drives a lot of customers our way.
Excellent. I like the idea of that, a shared driving customers to an independent. Yeah, we like that on this podcast. So over to you then, Richard. We want to talk a little bit about Sonas and what it's like working with you guys. So Sonas is still relatively new to the UK market. Can you give us a bit of insight as to how you have approached the expansion in recent years?
Of course, Matt. So we entered the UK market back in January of 2023. So coming up to our second anniversary quite soon. Really, we looked at a roadmap, a strategic roadmap for our organic expansion into the UK market. So we would have identified that obviously bricks and mortar retailers was really the direction that we wanted to go in, which would reflect our business model back in our home market of Ireland. And independent retailers really represents a golden opportunity to get in and speak directly to the people who own the business or manage the business and really get an opportunity and a chance to present your brand and your product solutions and build relationships in market in a controlled, measured way. And that was certainly the way we embraced entering into the UK market. And that's really been working by having our own direct salespeople who are regionally based, who have industry experience and lots of relationships already in the space, and essentially going and meeting customers that they know in some cases, and maybe some new customers in other cases, and really just telling the story of who Sonas Bathrooms are, what our heritage is, the kind of the fundamentals that build our business, and presenting the product and then trying to get to understand the customer's needs and looking for where there's an opportunity to partner up together. And that's really what we've been doing for the last couple of years, very much taking that organic approach. And it's been going very well and building a nice network of retail partners across the UK.
Yeah, and as you say, it is a bit of a partnership there. So we have on the podcast today 2 partners. Let's start with you, Becky, there. How did you hear about Sonas in the first place?
So we heard from our now rep for Sonas, Chris Busher. We followed him through his career for many years now, and he came to approach us and said, hey guys, you're missing this in the market, and what do you think? We had a think about it, and we were very impressed with it and had a showroom built with it, and on we went from there, really.
Yeah. Is it the product for you that you like, or is it just the all-round package of the relationship and everything put together?
Yeah, I think it's very important from our perspective that we get the backup and support from the company, and that everything that we need, we work as a partnership, which is very important for me. So that's predominantly why we took it on as well. The fact that it was a gap in the market that we didn't have. So we felt we needed a mid-range product, which has worked amazingly well for us.
And Dan, over to you. What's your first impressions of Sonas?
Well, we first got introduced to them through a buying group that we'd just joined. Leon, at the time, was our representative. He came in and met my wife, who's a partner in the business. She was very excited, came to me, said, you've got to look at this brochure. You've got it. It's completely different to what we're used to. You know, the range of colours in the units that they did was just completely different compared to the usual guys that we use. So we were quite excited with that. And the price point as well was really good. That's where it started.
Yeah. And so talking about the products then, Richard, I know you've launched a lot of new ranges this year. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, I suppose the first thing I'd say, we're a product-led business. Dan has touched on it there. The thing that got him interested initially and got his wife's interest initially was the colours and the vitality in the product offering. So I suppose really we do have a very strong product proposition, and we put a lot of effort and investment into product development. So product vitality is a score that we measure within the business, and basically how that's kind of worked out is when products are introduced, we look at the sales over the previous year of products that have been launched in the previous 3 years, if that makes sense. And so industry average would say that 25% would be a very strong benchmark. Our product vitality score is currently 37%. So that kind of just speaks to the kind of the constant innovation, introduction of new products. And this year has been no different. I suppose colour would probably be a really strong theme for the Sonas brand. But because we're a full product solution, and we are in fashion business now, that's the way I would certainly describe it. One of our key strengths is probably having that coordinated look and complementary colours and finishes across furniture categories, shower enclosure categories, brassware categories. So across the ranges this year, we've introduced many new products, but very much speaking to that coordinated look. And that's something that probably gives Sonas as a brand a very strong identity. And I think that's where a lot of our retail partners have kind of focused in on. It's bringing something fresh and bringing something new to their overall proposition.
Yeah, and Becky, do you have a favourite product range, or is it something that you're kind of really into at the moment that you're putting into your projects?
I use the Arc quite regularly. We're finding that we're selling quite a lot of matte products, matte white products. So that kind of fits in with that category. Also, I think with the Arc, it kind of covers a multitude of issues with it being bowed. It's not so deep and that kind of thing. So it just adds another style element to the bathroom. Yeah,
and Dan, do you have a favourite?
My favourite would be probably the Malmo unit with the sit-on scald bowl, matching colours. We've got them on display in the showroom. As people walk in, it's there and people fall in love with it. It's not a best-selling product because not everybody wants a sit-on bowl, but it's definitely a wow factor and it's a talking point. Our best-selling product would be probably the Stockholm. We do a lot with the Stockholm. You know, that's a nice unit. But if anybody wants anything special, the Malmo for me is
it's good to have those options there. And so it's all very well having great product, but also it's about moving boxes and getting product to our retail partners there, Richard. So you've introduced a new logistics partner this year. Explain a little bit about the reasons why you've done that.
Yeah, well, I suppose if I go back to our kind of DNA as a business, I mean, ultimately getting the product from our business to the customer's business quickly and efficiently is kind of what we're famous for. So we would have introduced next day delivery service in our home market over 10 years ago. But naturally, getting products from our Dublin distribution centre to retailers across the UK, you know, there's a body of water and there's kind of custom-related hurdles that need to be kind of overcome. So when we originally launched into the UK, the delivery service that we had in place was really it was taking 3 to 4 days to get the products from our warehouse to the customer, which by our own standards feels a little bit pedestrian and certainly not what we were aspiring to. But ultimately, we had to start somewhere. But over the last kind of 18 months, you know, we've been reviewing that. And this year, with the help and support of my ops team, we've been optimising that solution. And we've now got a new logistics partner in place, which effectively means we can offer a 48-hour turnaround from Dublin. So essentially, if Becky or Dan was to place an order this morning, on Friday, the goods will be landing on their doorstep. So, you know, essentially you order day 1 for delivery on day 3. And that's delivered duty paid from Dublin. So there's no complications from a retailer perspective. You know, really, ultimately, all they need to do is place the order with our customer support team or the ASM. And we get the goods picked, packed, shipped same night. We do all the customs clearance ourselves. And then it goes into a hub in the UK, and then it's next day delivery from there. So yeah, I think it's pretty efficient considering the kind of the physical constraints that we're managing. And that's something that's come into place now in the last 3 or 4 months. And I think it speaks to our ambition to continuously, offer and improve our service.
Dan, what's your experience of delivery, and do you feel there's a bit of transparency with Sonas when you're dealing with them?
Yeah, definitely. The 2-day turnaround is brilliant, to be fair. A lot of companies we use 3 or 4 days, they are the next day company. But my only worry originally with the 3-day was if anything came damaged, is it going to take another 3 days? We literally have no damages. The company that deliver them, I get a text message, one when they're on the way, one when they've delivered it. It's just a seamless process, really. I'm really happy with it. Does it work that
well for you as well, Becky?
Yeah, it does. The difference is amazing. It's amazing actually how different it is between 2 days to 3 or 4 days. Especially from a customer point of view, we're finding a lot of customers are coming in saying we need their bathroom like tomorrow. And so therefore actually just gaining that extra day or 2 days is massive. So it definitely helps.
So, Richard, you touched on it earlier about sales support and how you support things. You've recruited new sales team. Can you give us a bit of an update on that?
Yeah, so I mean, when we started on our journey in the UK back in January of last year, we had 4 area sales-based managers who had kind of taken that step to come on the journey with Sonas as a new brand, an emerging brand in the UK. Obviously, they were very interested in and impressed with what they had seen based on what we'd achieved back in Ireland, but they still had that kind of interest and ambition to be part of something from the outset. So we started with 4 colleagues last year, and then a 5th area sales manager came into the business around May last year. And then during the summer this year, we've introduced Dan, who's our 6th area sales manager, and we've now kind of created like a Midlands region. So essentially the concentration of the territories are getting smaller. And the reason for that is that we want our people in market to spend as much time customer facing, because really, Becky touched on it there at the outset. I mean, that relationship piece with the representative for the business, it starts with that. And then obviously it follows on with the level of support and backup, because the area sales manager or the BDM, they're only really as good as the people they have behind them who are keeping the promises that they make. So I would say across the Sonas business, our people are certainly our greatest asset. They really are the backbone of the business. And whilst we have the product and the marketing and all the solutions that you need to bring to it, ultimately you need the people to execute on that. So yeah, the expansion of the team has really been a reflection of our own kind of growth and expansion. And as I said already, we want to have really passionate people in market who really care and put the customer first. And I suppose that interdependent relationship that we have, it really hinges on the sales representative representing actually the customer's needs and what's important for them. And they're the facilitator. They kind of bridge the gap between the customer and then the business itself, and just making sure that we're looking after people and keeping our promises and doing the things that we said we would do. And in my experience, it's generally business is pretty simple if we can try and keep it simple and just follow through with what we said we would do. And if there's a problem, I think Becky, Dan will probably say just being able to pick up the phone and speak to their ASM or their representative to just try and get things resolved for them. And that's probably the most important thing for most people, I think, having that contact, having that relationship.
Yeah, and I wondered just how important that is, because we hear in a lot about brands who are actually pulling back and maybe reducing feet on the ground. And I wonder from a retail perspective here, Becky, how important is a sales rep as a person coming in? How do they add value to you in your business?
Massively. I think if we didn't have the sales rep, then firstly, we wouldn't sell the product, or we wouldn't sell anywhere near as much of the product. I think they're a massive backbone to the business. Obviously, I can only talk for our rep, obviously Chris, who made me believe in the product before we'd even got the product. And then, we then had a whole showroom built of the product with many different ranges. You can offer so much and come over to Ireland, have a look at all the products, and he's really driving it forwards. So for me, it is so important. I couldn't live without Chris in my life. Or should I say Sonas in my life?
Dan, is it the same for you? How much does this really affect your relationship with a brand, any brand really?
Well, the first time I met our original rep, which was Leon, he was brilliant. And I actually met Richard at a convention once and told him how good Leon was, and got a bit of ribbing for that from everybody because I was a bit over enthusiastic, I suppose. He wasn't a pushy sales rep, but he managed to get, we've got 10 units in our showroom, basin units, and he helped along the way. He advised, he brought everything in, and he was just such a nice guy. And then recently, because we're in the Midlands and they've had a reshuffle, we've got Dan now, who I've met twice. He was in only the other day, and he's a really decent guy. We've got a good relationship already. You know, he brought a box of donuts in, which helps straight away.
Donuts is always the way forward.
Always.
In my book. just to finish off here, Richard, what is, in your opinion, the value of independent retailers?
Oh, it's massive. I mean, I can't overstate it enough because, as I touched on earlier, you know, you get an opportunity to speak directly to the owner of the business, the manager of the business. The teams generally tend to be smaller. They're more invested, you know, and we've just been kind of speaking there about the importance of relationship. Like it cannot be overstated enough how relationship based our industry is, because it's not just about transactional interactions. You know, okay, nobody wants to be over servicing their clients and coming into retail showrooms too frequently. You need to be coming in and adding value to the conversation and adding value to your customer's business. But ultimately, there's so many moving parts within our business, within the customer's business and our clients. And we kind of touched on earlier about bathrooms has become really like a fashion product now. There's so much choice, there's so much variation. And you need people who are invested, who are interested in the product, interested in solving problems, being in a help and an aid to the customer for their business. So just that whole people piece for me is critical. My role ultimately within Sonas is to try and foster the right environment that people feel interested enough and that they want, you know, they want to care about the customer's needs, and that we just try and work together as best we can, because our relationship is completely interdependent. Like, advocacy is a word I would think is just so important, because when we're not there, we're relying on Becky or Dan, you know, when they meet one of their customers, we're relying on their advocacy to believe in us and believe in our products. And they will only do that if they've got a good experience, if they get support, and if they've got a relationship with the business and the people within that business who they think will actually help them and look out for them and try and put things right if and when they do go wrong, which we all know that things do along the way. Things go bump sometimes, but I think it's your attitude to how you respond and try and put things back on track. And, you know, that's very much the philosophy that we try and bring to our business.
So there you have it, some insight into the way Sonas Bathrooms operates and its relationship with retail partners. You can find out everything you need to know about them at sonasbathrooms.com, and I'll make sure that link is in the episode description. A huge thank you to Richard Sloan from Sonas Bathrooms, to Becky Price from Park Street Interiors, and Dan Tuff from Glenfield Bathrooms. Before I go though, I want to remind you that all entries are still open for the KBB Review Retail and Design Awards 2025. It's the biggest awards in the UK and Ireland for the kitchen and bathroom sector, and that portal to enter the awards will close at 5 p.m. on Thursday, November the 14th. And we say this every year, but there will be no extensions. You have been warned. However, fear not. We have published a helpful little podcast around the awards, how to enter, and including tips on how to put together a winning entry. I'll link that in the show notes too, so check that out. Alternatively, you can always get full details of the awards at kbbreview.com/awards. Join me next month when we'll be chatting to some of the awards judges and maybe probing them a little bit for some advice too. Thanks for listening, and until next time, take care.